So have you thought about hiring a property manager for your rental property business? I'm sure you've had this thought at one point or another. Most landlords, when they first buy their first property, or even if they have several, they consider hiring a property manager rather than doing it themselves. So in today's video, I want to share with you some things that you should evaluate about your own lifestyle to really determine whether you have what it takes to be the property manager, or if hiring a property manager is a better alternative, and is it really worth it for you? If you're looking for great landlord tips and information, then I hope you'll subscribe to our channel, because that's our goal here, is to provide all kinds of information, situations, and things that you'll encounter as a landlord. So hit that bell so you can be notified every Wednesday when we post a new video. Okay, so let's talk about property management for a minute. Everything in life has a value. Your things have a value, services that people do for you have a value. You hire different contractors to do different things for you, because even though you know how to paint a wall, for example, it's easier and maybe cheaper for you just to hire a painter because they have the expertise, they have the skills, and you don't really have the time. And in a case like that, that really just makes the most sense. And property management is no different. My name is Richey, and I'm the principal broker of Richey Property Management. We manage over 300 residential properties for owners all over the world. So when people come to us, they come to us for probably one of two reasons. One, they know from the get-go that they want to hire a property manager. They absolutely don't want to do it themselves, so they're looking for the right partner to team up with. The other people come to us because they've tried it themselves and they just got burned. They either had a bad tenant, they don't have the time to do it, for whatever reason, they just got sick of it, and so they decided it's time now to hire a property manager. So let's look at 4 questions that you can ask yourself so that you can decide if hiring a property manager is right for you. So the first thing is, do you have the time? That's the first question you should ask yourself. Managing rental property takes a lot of time. You need to market the property. You need to find the right tenant. You need to screen those tenants. You need to move them into the property. You need to do all the right inspections. You need to be available for maintenance. You need to do a move-out inspection when they move out. You need to manage all of the money. You need to manage all of your own internal accounting. So there is a lot to do throughout the course of the tenancy. And then when the tenant turns over, you've got to do repairs, get that property ready again, and do that whole process all over again. So when you consider your time and the time value of money, what is your time worth? How much are you worth per hour? Is it cheaper to hire a property manager to do these things? Because remember, the property manager fee is a deductible expense. So yes, you'll pay that, but you will save yourself a lot of time. So that's the first question. Ask yourself, do you have the time to do this? The second question you want to ask yourself is, do you really know what you're doing? And I don't mean that to be kind of like we know everything as a property manager. We're always learning too, but this is what we do every day, full-time, all day. We take the time to learn the laws. We take the time to do everything we can so that we know as much as we can to protect the owners that we serve. So ask yourself, do you have the time to study up and make sure that you stay on top of all the fair housing laws that are involved in tenant-landlord issues? Do you have time to stay up to current with state laws? Local laws change. There's all kinds of things going on. Do you have the time to keep up with it? Tenant-landlord issues are one of the most litigious areas in all of real estate. I've sold real estate for over 20 years, but I can tell you in all those years of selling homes, there have been far less issues, or I guess people going to court that I've seen. Luckily, we haven't had to do that, but other people going to court in real estate sales, but many, many more spend time in the courtroom when it comes to tenant-landlord laws and issues. So the worst thing you can do is to take this process lightly. You have to be able to learn and keep up with it. So think about what you know, how much time it takes to know all the things that you need to, and then decide if you really know what you're doing. The third question to ask yourself is, are you available? This is different than time, because I'll tell you what, it isn't on a Wednesday at noon when the basement floods. It's always going to be Friday night, 9 o'clock, you're out with your friends, get a call from your tenant and they say, we have an emergency, the basement's flooding, or I have no heat, or whatever it is, and now you need to get yourself away from your family or your friends or your vacation, and you need to deal with this issue. So if you're not even in the country and the tenant has a really hard time reaching you, that's a problem. So you have to make sure that you're available. Do you have enough availability? And if it's not going to be you, do you have other people that can cover for you when you're gone or away or as a backup? Do you have those right partners in place, like a handyman, like maybe a real estate agent, or just even a friend or somebody that can be your backup? You have to be available for your tenant. You also need to be available to do all of the proper inspections in a timely manner. Do the move-in inspection before the tenant moves in. Do the move-out right after they move out. Doing those interim inspections, doing the drive-bys and checking on the property. You have to be available to do all of those things. When you manage a property, all of the things that you pre-plan, sure, you can manage those with your schedule even if you travel for work or you're on vacation, but it's all of those unknowns and those emergency things that come up that throw things sideways. So you really have to just ask yourself, are you available, and do you have that availability now and going forward? And the last thing I would ask you to think about is, do you have the right partners? I just touched on this, but having those right people can really help you. Maybe you decide you want to manage the property, but you need help with leasing. Find your trusted real estate professional or property manager who can lease that property out for you, even if you manage it yourself going forward. Find that go-to handyman who will be available for you when you don't have heat, when your tenant calls with an emergency. Being responsive makes tenants really happy. They don't want to spend a night in a hotel room. They don't want to be put out. They deserve to stay in the property, and they deserve someone who can react quickly and fix the problem. So figure out what all those people are that you can surround yourself with, and make sure you have those right partners. And if you don't, find them. But that's another thing that you really should ask yourself as you think about your rental property management business. So if you've hired a property manager for your business, what made you decide that that was worth it? I'd love to hear your experiences on what has worked for you, what's worked for you if you hired it, and what's not worked for you when you've hired a property manager. I'd like to know. Put those in the comments below. So it basically boils down to this. If you're someone who wants to be super hands-on, you have the time, you have the availability, you have the know-how, you have the willingness to keep learning, then go for it. You could be a great property manager of your properties. And maybe then, in your case, hiring a property manager just isn't worth it. But if you're someone who, like most people, this is not your primary thing. They have one, maybe they have two properties, but they have a life that's really full. They work full-time, maybe their spouse works, they have kids, they're busy on the weekends, they go out with friends, they like to vacation. That makes it really difficult to manage the property. So really take a minute, think about your lifestyle. If you haven't bought a rental property yet, think about that in advance and plan that management fee into your budget when you're looking at the numbers of a rental property. And if you have one already, think about the time you're spending and decide if that's actually worth it when you could pay a property manager a relatively small fee for what we do and have them really just take care of it and just go on with the rest of your life. And don't forget, property management fees are tax deductible. So just remember that, because that makes a difference when you're thinking about all of your expenses. So I hope this video was helpful. It helps you look at your own life and what a property manager does and whether it's really worth it for you. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up below. Give us your comments. Please subscribe to our channel and share this with a landlord that you think might benefit from this information. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.